item.
Okay.
So it's about the Guardianship Service Board funding request. So Guardianship Service Board came and did that really nice presentation last week. And the request was for a match to the MHRB and PCDD contributions of $94,500. So if the board was, deciding they wanted to move forward with this, then we could discuss the different funding options. So we have contingency in the general fund. We also have the sales and use tax fund, and I can give you the contingency list. The contingency was, as the board will recall, was kind of slated for other things, so we'd have to kind of adjust this.
Is that 94,000 that two other organizations gave 94,000 to it?
94.5.
Yes, so MHRB and PCDD gave 94.5.
And we gave last time
Nothing.
Last year we gave
nothing?
No, because it's only been in place for what, a little over a year, Diana?
That's good.
Diana's here. Because I have a couple questions on it. First of all, I remember when Judge Smith first approached us, she said that she was gonna do this. We had her come in, and I think you came with her, and you talked about it and how it's gonna go and stuff. But the main thing she said is, and good news is, we don't need any money for it. So, I recall that very vaguely, and so, or distinctly, I should say. And in January 2022, Judge Smith came to us to open up a special project fund, and for the probate court. And at the time, she was hoping to build up enough funding to complete two projects: the adult guardianship program and the assisted outpatient treatment program. As a matter of fact, she assessed an additional $20 on all her cases to go into this special projects fund. So my question is, when I look at the sources for funding, Diana, that you did a real good job on, I see DD, I see mental health, I see in-kind for the court. So can you explain to me what the in-kind is?
Yes, Your Honor. With respect to the in-kind services, we didn't have to hire an accountant or any accounting services. All of those financial services are provided through the court's fiscal officer. And then the court has also, to the extent that our wards are indigent, and a lot of them are, so when they need a court-appointed attorney or something of that nature, that comes out of the court's indigency fund. That's not anything that we would pay. And then that's primarily it. Some of the other bailiff services and things like that are part of the court services. The IT services, for example, we didn't have to hire IT people to set up our computers and do all that IT work. That was done through the court's IT staff.
Okay. And so my question is, I don't see anywhere on here where any of the funding from the special fund has contributed to this guardianship board, but I do see JFS, which is under us,
Yes.
is contributing $34,000. And so my question is, what happened to the special fund, project fund, that the intention was to help fund the guardianship?
And respectfully, Judge, that was, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's, that's before I came on board. I think it was probably Court Administrator Deacon Yessie that would have accompanied Judge Smith when she spoke with you about it. So because the probate court is separate and apart from the Guardianship Service Fund, we're not part of the probate court, we're a separate county agency. I'm not sure what discussion that she had with you or how that fund is utilized, because I don't have any direct involvement in that, so I apologize for that. I can certainly ask Judge Smith what's in the fund and how it's allocated, but that was not something that was discussed with me in connection with the Guardianship Service Board, so I'm not aware of it. With respect to the JFS funds, when we had approached Kelly Jo, it was because we'd gotten about a dozen referrals from Adult Protective Services, and as I explained to her, her investigators have this caseload and do this work, and then when we step in and we're appointed guardian, then they're able to take those cases off of their hands and hand them over to us. And I had asked for funding support to help provide half of the salary to bring on a new caseworker for this year, and that's what the 34,000 was. So when we're looking forward and we're looking at paying the other half of that caseworker salary and then bringing on a new caseworker, that's the funding that we've asked from the commissioners to match that provided by DD and mental health, because we're projecting that we have to cover the other half of that salary going into 2025. And as I mentioned to you, by the end of this month, we're gonna be up to 40 wards that we've been assigned. The growth was phenomenal in this first year, and I don't think Judge Smith or any of us was expecting the demand. And I'm sure the sheriff probably knows, there's a lot of people that need guardianships because they don't have any other people that can step in and help them with those responsibilities. And so the reason that my board asked us to approach the Board of Commissioners to do the matching funds was because we anticipated what was gonna be coming to us in the next year, that we already have our caseworkers allocated for the 40 cases that we've got. I hope that explains.
Yeah. Well, I just wanna say, I appreciate everything you guys do, and like I said, but to come to us for a $94,500 match, I mean, that was unexpected. And when we were told when this first started, the good news was we didn't need to contribute to this. And now we're being asked to match DD and mental health. It is a little concerning for me, especially because we have all these other projects that were slated. And understand, everyone wants a special program, wants a special project, wants a new courthouse, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to manage the entire county. We have unfunded mandates that we have to contribute to. I mean, and like I said, and everyone comes to us in a silo, and everyone's doing great things, by all means. But we do have a budget that we have to stay within. And so, that's all I wanted to say.
Ma'am,
Tony, go
Good.
ahead, Diana.
I completely understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
and as a taxpayer in this county,
Yes.
I appreciate the fiscal responsibilities that you have to deal with on a daily basis. It was not anticipated that there would be such a need of incapacitated adults in this county that would already put us at a caseload of 40 after just 12 months. And so we're just faced with the dilemma going forward. We've already got 2 caseworkers that each have 20 cases assigned to them, and our projected caseload is 20 per caseworker. The referrals aren't gonna stop. Since we met with you, we got 2 more referrals since last week. And so the reality is we're either gonna have to have each caseworker carrying, 30, 40 cases each, or we're gonna have to turn people away, in which case they're just gonna continue to be under Adult Protective Services investigators' caseloads.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just the reality. I think until this program opened up, nobody fully appreciated, and Judge Smith didn't fully appreciate what the influx would be from nursing homes, from public agencies,
Sure.
from Pullman, as to how many people were in need of guardianship, and otherwise, they can't be adequately protected.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, it's not to discount what you're doing. Again, there's only so much money to go around, and so that's my only comment.
So the thought is that what you just said, the likelihood of this doubling this year is probably pretty close.
We're thinking another, based on what we received in the last 12 months, probably another 20 to 30. We've been averaging 4 referrals per month. So, and obviously we will lose some wards along the way because I have 2 in hospice now, but nevertheless, that kind of offsets each other. But that's what we projected. I mean, if that changes, in the next 6 months, then obviously I would let you know that, but.
So in this very, I think, pretty cool program, is there grants that are available to this type of service?
Well, and I'm sure Jackie probably appreciates this too. Grants mostly are not for ongoing operational expenses, but usually to set up you know, like an expansion of a program or an addition of a new facet of a program. And because ours predominantly goes to, as I mentioned, you know, we have a very lean operation, you know, most of our money just goes for the salaries and benefits involved because we get our space given to us, our offices by, Neighborhood Development Services. So I have looked at grant funds and I haven't been able to identify any grant funds that would help support, you know, those kinds of operations. And we work with the other GSBs in the state, so we have a monthly meeting and we all talk to each other and we all share funding sources. And that's why I had shared that chart with you during my presentation, so you could see how the other GSPs get funded.
Is everybody else growing as quickly as we have? All the other organizations?
There's only 6 counties that
Six-
have
six,
this.
yeah.
Well,
There are
there's,
6.
yeah, and actually 2 more GSBs are coming on board this year, so Franklin's been operating for what, 6 years, 8 years? They've got almost 500 cases, just under 500 cases.
How do they fund themselves? If we have 20 cases and we're looking at 200,000 or 300,000, yeah.
Right.
How does Franklin County support 500 cases?
Right, and on that chart, it indicated that 3 of the counties were funded in part by the Board of Commissioners. Union County that's coming on this year is also gonna receive partial funding from the Board of Commissioners. All of us receive substantial contributions from the mental health and DD boards in the respective counties. So, you know, it's a little tailored because of that.
Do you know the percentage that these other counties the Board of Commissioners are supporting?
I know with
Supporting that?
Delaware County, it's evenly funded by DDMH and the Board of Commissioners. Franklin has a substantial contribution from their Board of Commissioners, but I don't know percentage-wise what
Okay.
that is. But you've got the
Yeah,
chart from the last presentation.
I just thought it would be good to have verbalized this.
Understood, yeah.
Okay.
And Diana,
Yes,
have you guys applied to United Way? Because I see on here that's one of the optional funding sources.
I did make the inquiry to United Way. The way they structure their grants each year is it's for a specific identified purpose. And for the 2024 funding cycle, the specific identified purpose that their grant funds were designated for did not fall into a category that would cover services that we provide. It was more on food services type funding, grants for that purpose. So
Okay.
they suggested that maybe next year we might be able to fit into one of their categories. But the maximum amount for the grants that have been available to other counties that applied was $10,000, which is the same amount that we get from Direction Home.
So what about the hospital and medical centers? I see that's also a big funder for some of the other ones.
Apparently in Franklin County, they get a lot of hospital referrals. I mean, it's so large. But, so what they did was work out a contract for funding so that, I think they get like $8,000 for each patient that they end up referring that is in need of guardianship services. We just don't have that volume of funding from hospitals where I could, a matter of fact, I don't think I've gotten any referrals from UH, that would support that in this county.
Okay. So just to go back to the question that Commissioner Badalamente asked about, grants
Yes.
for funding, have you guys applied for any grants?
We haven't applied for any grants because I didn't
Can't
find
find
any
any.
plans that were applicable for our funding needs. I
Wow.
did make an inquiry with, County Prosecutor Chris Maduri about how we would apply for it since we are a county agency, and he suggested that we would use the county's EIN for doing it. So we did all the groundwork to determine how we would approach that. I just didn't find any applicable state or county grants or foundation grants that we could pursue.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jackie, back to you.
Okay, so, as we were saying, we have the options of the contingency possibly, or the sales and use tax fund, or, I don't know if you want me to, research a little more with Judge Smith and her office about the probate court
The
special
special
projects
fund,
fund.
yeah,
I
because
mean, it's about, I would say by
it
the
was
end of the year, there's about
specifically
$30,000
spelled out
balance.
that's what she was hoping to fund.
And yeah, I
is-
believe it can be for special projects, so I can
Yeah,
find out.
it
what
can
the
be, because
intention is.
I have the resolution that we passed to create that fund, cause probate never had, a special project fund until Judge Smith brought it forward, so.
Right now, it doesn't look like it would fund that size of a request.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, if you take out what they've planned already, they'll probably have about $30,000 in there,
Okay,
so,
yeah.
So we'll table this and then find a little bit more information.
yeah, I can investigate this a little bit more and bring back all the information. Okay.
I hate to do this, but can we
Thank you.
take a 5-minute recess, before public comment?
Yes.
That's sure.
I like 3-minute recess.
3 minutes.
Till 11.
Okay, right, yep, right.
So I just,
Yeah.
I'll adjourn.
And I have